one of the most critical pillars of the lead industry, recycling. As we all know, lead remains one of the world's most recycled metals, and the circular economy model is becoming increasingly central to sustainability. These discussions are off and on. And Mr. Yogesh Kharbanda, Executive Director and Head-Led Business from Gravita India Limited, has been kind enough to spare his valuable time to share his expertise on this extremely important subject. We are delighted to have him with us, and we look forward to his expertise speech. And over to you, Mr. Kharbanda.
Thank you very much, Binaji. I really appreciate, and I'm really happy to be on this virtual dais with all the stalwarts and veterans of the industry. Thank you, Mr. Chakrabarti, Puga sir, and Chandrasekhar ji. Thank you, Binaji, once again.
Thank you.
And I'm
Most
delighted
welcome.
to be part of this elite gathering of all the veterans of the industry. And thank you, Chakrabarti sir, Puga sir, and Chandrasekhar ji for assuring us on the longevity of the life of lead. It will still exist, I personally believe, for a very long time. And as Puga said very rightly, that many obituaries were written, on lead, and it still exists. And it is existing from, I think, more than 2000 years. Before I start, I have a very interesting fact to share with all of you. Sir Isaac Newton spent 30 years, secretly trying to transmute lead into gold at his Cambridge laboratory. I think that was the first time when, a furnace was used by him. While he never succeeded, but I think all of us in the lead industry have succeeded to a great extent. Today, we don't use these mystical alchemies, but still we are very well equipped to recycle the lead. And in a very efficient process, which is not only conserving the resources, it is also preventing, all the avoidable environmental hazards. So this is the real goal, because as we were discussing, the speakers before me, especially Mr. Chakrabarti said, the importance of energy storage and BESS systems. We also spoke about, the supply chains and the circular manufacturing. I think lead is a holy grail. And we in the recycling industry, we are able to, minimize landfills, and we are doing our job of creating gold from lead, I think. So I'll quickly cover what Binaji had assigned to me, primarily, three aspects to be covered, which is recycling ecosystem which exists in India, the sustainability and, the circular economy, and the capacity expansions which are taking place, and the policy framework. But before I go there, let's just go into a little bit of history of evolution of lead battery recycling in India. So India's journey has in fact started quite long. However, we became signatories to Basel Convention in 1992. Then came the battery waste management rules, which were updated in 2022. And now, as a result of the robust demand which we see in our industry, we have a total capacity, as Puga sir mentioned, 3.5 million ton. Our estimate is around 4 million metric tons of recycling capacity, which is there in India. So these are the major highlights. And if we just look at the total recycling market, I think about 1.2, 12 lakh million tons, 12 lakh tons of battery scrap is generated in India. And if you look at some of the, features of this market, because we are going to talk about recycling and the challenges we are facing and the transition which is required in the industry for lead to survive, essentially. So in our current ecosystem, if you observe, to start a lead business, which is primarily lead smelting business, there is very low entry barrier. And in Indian scenario, even, the smelters who have a very small capacity of even 500 metric tons are granted licenses. There's a huge labor network organized, spread across all over India. We have a very fragmented collection system of used batteries. We have issues with tax and compliance, which results in a big arbitrage between the organized and unorganized sectors. And there is, of course, at times uneven enforcement of environmental and regulatory standards. So Puga sir already talked about some of the lead statistics. Some of these are repeated. So basically, we are looking at 12 lakh tons or 13 lakh metric ton of secondary lead production. And this slide gives you a brief overview of what we are importing and where the lead produced is going. So if you see, India is still a net importing country. And I will support the point with Mr. Chakrabarti Beg that in future, if we ever find the disruptions of supply chains as they are happening now, because of the Iran-Israel war and the closure of the Gulf Strait, so we will be at a crossroads. If you look at the used lead-acid battery recycling ecosystem in India, you can see on the slide, on the one side, we have unregulated recyclers, we have informal remanufacturers, which are exchanging batteries and lead among themselves. And what is given to the environment is basically a hazardous lead waste. Whereas on the other side, there are regulated recyclers, formal remanufacturers, which have invested heavily into the capex and pollution control equipment specifically. This recycling ecosystem in Indian context basically includes 6 to 7 lakh people which are employed within this recycling industry in India. My previous speakers already mentioned that lead is 100% recyclable and it can be recycled n number of times. So some of the batteries we may be using right now, which may have lead, which our predecessors must have used even 3 or 4 decades back. And in Indian context, it is very important to mention at this gathering of all the experts of the industry that 70% of the batteries which we are generating in India, we estimate that they are going into the informal sector. The total lead market, of course, of the lead acid batteries is 40,000 crores, which we are expecting. And I will try to match my figures with Mr. Chakrabarti later on. And this, of course, our country is growing. We are expected to be a 5 trillion economy by 2030. So we expect that at least we will have 60,000 crores of market for the lead acid batteries going forward. As far as lead acid batteries is concerned, we don't need to really prove on the success story of the circular economy. I think lead batteries is one of the most recyclable products after end of life. I mean, as rightly said, that there is a perception challenge with the lead acid batteries. But if you all observe, none of us would have ever seen a discarded lead acid battery on the roadside. None of us has ever seen, because it is 100% recyclable with a very good efficiency of extracting almost all the lead, plastic, and sulfuric acid from these batteries. If I have to dwell a little bit on the sustainability and the battery ecosystem. So today, as I mentioned, lead acid batteries are among the most recycled products. Nearly 100% of battery material can be recovered and reused. Therefore, sustainability and circularity are already deeply embedded in the industry. We have many challenges. The challenge is not whether the batteries are recycled. The challenge really is how and where they are recycled. And of course, of late, in last 1 decade and recently in last few years, we are seeing a positive shift in this whole ecosystem where our government policy is a very important part. We have in place a battery waste management rules 2022 as I mentioned, and now we have a tradable extended producer responsibility. Just a few days back, EPRs were with the initiative of the government. They were put in a tradable platform where the generators and the users of EPR can trade the EPRs among themselves. This will also lead to greater traceability and compliance. And of course, it will definitely help in shift towards formal recycling channels. So this move is basically it's a regulatory milestone. And if it is mandated, I think it will impact 90% of our material collection and recovery framework. The digital EPR, which is happening, it will create a credit trading marketplace, like for our metal itself. And then the battery producers will not be able to sell the products without a formal accountability. When the accountability is there, then they must use these digital credits to generate authorized recycling EPR points to offset their productions. So this will, once this financial incentives are choked for non-compliance, I think we will have a good case to move towards a truly circular movement of at least batteries and lead. Just to give you an example, you can see in the last column, in the first column, you see the EPR targets, which is battery specific. And in the last column, if you see, there is a shortfall of EPRs. So I think there is still a long way to go, as far as the EPR system is fully adopted in the system and it becomes part and parcel of our industry. The third topic which Binaji had given me was on the sustainability part and the CapEx expansion and other issues. So if we, as my previous speakers had already said, the demand for lead remains robust. We have a very strong automotive industry. About 13 crore vehicles are produced in India, put all together. We have a ever expanding, demand for renewable energy storage and industrial backup. So I think lead is going to stay for a long time, and also the lead acid batteries for that matter. If you look at the capacity expansion, it is definitely happening in India. You can check the figures which we just mentioned. About 3.5 to 4 million tons of capacity expansion has already happened with 635 authorized recyclers, which was mentioned in the previous presentations. But there are challenges. There are challenges. The challenges are on the tax leakage, which is across the value chain. Then there are generation of fake EPRs, which we have seen happening of late. And then, of course, non-compliant recyclers operating without adequate infrastructure. And then this has all created an uneven competition for responsible recyclers. It's a big challenge, not only for recyclers, it is also a challenge for the big battery manufacturers within India, because they are not able to collect the batteries back. So there should be, I think all of us in the industry, we have to focus on the developments which are required on our side and from the government. And some of these are like to have a mandatory reverse charge mechanism on battery scrap. There was a discussion in MRI at various forums to enforce a 2% TDS on GST. This will improve the transactional transparency, and then to have a better traceability of scrap movement. This is the only way we can shift our material from informal to the formal sector. In last 2 months, I had the opportunity of visiting Middle East and also, some parts of India, including our customers and also some of the scrap dealers, as well as battery resellers. So I can give you a little bit of, update that what is happening, which was also mentioned, a big disruption which has happened because of the geopolitical scenario, what we see recently in Middle East. The situation is not really good. We ourselves have about 1,800 containers of scrap batteries stuck up within Middle East, and this conflict, we wish that it is over before it creates more damage to the industry, because there is really a shortage of imported batteries right now, and India is the net shore of scrap for batteries. And there has been a tremendous increase in shipping and freight costs. My friends from the recycling and battery industry must be aware of this. And these smelters are basically relying on existing inventories to sustain the operations. So if this situation persists, we will have a trouble till the supply chains readjust themselves, to this new situation. And this will lead to, we expect, lower production levels and increase in cost pressure of smelters, which gets passed on to the battery manufacturers, and it disrupts all the costing in the system. So, in nutshell, the future of the industry lies in channelizing battery scrap from informal networks to environmentally compliant former recycling facilities. This is what we very strongly believe. Binaji, do you permit me a few more minutes? Then I can tell you how we are standing
Okay,
up
let's
for the
take it
formal
since it's
sector.
going very
So
interesting. You
this
can
is
take
just
it.
an example, just to share with all the participants or all the listeners and attendees of this webinar, that we at Gravita, while trying to maintain our leadership position, how we have been able to, spread our wings and to really stand up as a company which is totally compliant with all the requirements, whether it is on pollution or be on any other, parameters from the government. So if you see, there's a big investment when we talk about capacity expansion for a legal smelter. And in our case, we are operating not only in India at 4 locations, we are operating with our smelting facilities, which are as good as you see in these pictures, in at least 4 or 5 countries outside of India. We have a social commitment, and I'm sure many of our companies which are in the organized sector are doing the similar work. Chandrasekhar ji, you want to ask something, sir? I would love to answer, sir.
Yeah, I think after you finish.
Okay, sir. So this is our spread, which is worldwide. And of course, you see the globe in the green color, because that's what we aspire to be. We recycle to save the environment. So just to close this loop, we as a company and as a participant of the industry, we secure, total domestic mineral independence, so that our supply chains can be insulated from global geopolitical shocks and drive a compliant, profitable, and 100% circular future. And we aspire for that and collaborate with that with all the players in the industry. Thank you very much, Binaji.